Hello and welcome. My name is Madeline Chappell, and I'm the Senior Assistant Dean of Admission here at Emory University. I'm also an alumna, and I have the pleasure of traveling to the great Southwest portion of the United States, including Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and South Orange County in San Diego, California. I'm here today to talk a little bit about the holistic review process and to help you understand how admission representatives like myself review the components of the application. Now, there are thousands of colleges and universities in the United States, and admission to the vast majority of them is not highly selective or competitive. While the term highly selective may sound a bit vague, it is quantifiable, and a highly selective institution is one where less than 25% of applicants are admitted. Highly selective schools often use a holistic approach when reviewing applications. Holistic review at its core means that admission offices look beyond students' grades and testing. There is no admission formula with specific grading or testing requirements. As you continue to research different colleges and universities, you may come across a few new vocabulary words. What you see in front of you is what's called an enrollment funnel. This helps describe how admission offices categorize and organize the admission process. Let's start at the widest part at the top, prospects. This 45,000 might represent the number of students that a university has come in contact with, either at a college fair, at an on-campus visit, or through students simply registering for a school's mailing list. These prospective students are doing their research on universities and deciding where to submit applications. Next, we see those students move from prospects to applicants, and the total number has been cut by over 50%. That's okay, and that's normal. As prospective applicants continue their research on institutions, they'll discover that not all schools are a good fit for them. You do not have to apply to every school that emails you. Now, at a highly selective institution, less than 25% of those applicants will ultimately be admitted, and then even fewer will enroll. The holistic review process can help us understand how universities manage to enroll that 1,393 from the originating 45,000. Now, I mentioned before that there's no major formula or holistic review admission. However, there is a diagram to help us understand. The purpose of holistic review is to create a well-rounded class. Diversity comes in many forms, and we value the exchange of ideas and perspectives. Holistic review can help admission officers predict how well you will fare in our institution. I also mentioned that there are no GPA or testing cutoffs or ceilings for holistic review. But you will notice that a student's academic preparation is at the center of this diagram. At Emory University, we often start the application review process with a student's academic preparation, including their curriculum, grades, and test scores. Now, the order here is important: curriculum, grades, then test scores. At Emory, we do require students to submit standardized test scores, and those are reviewed in context of a student's application. They are never the first place we jump to make a decision. A holistic review of an applicant involves many layers and cannot be summarized in a single score. Admission offices look at students' writing samples, letters of recommendation, non-academic engagement, or co-curricular activities, but we're trying to get to know applicants on a personal level. And that's where those personal attributes and intellectual curiosity and engagement can come into play. A good way to think about intellectual curiosity is to think about questions. We want intellectually engaged students in our classrooms, and this often manifests itself in questioning. Think about the type of questioner you are. And remember that I don't mean how often you raise your hand in class, but what wheels are turning for you. Let's break this down a little further, and we'll begin with the center bullet point of academic preparation and curriculum. At Emory, we place great value on a student's level of curriculum, but we also consider this in context. To many high school students, a rigorous curriculum might include a collection of AP or advanced placement classes. For some, it might include IB or international baccalaureate programs. Some students may attend a high school that doesn't offer either of these programs. Some high schools place great emphasis on the dual enrollment opportunities at local colleges. In order to get a sense of what a rigorous curriculum looks like at your school, talk with your school counselor. Also, remember that there's no formula, so taking more AP classes does not guarantee admission. These rigorous and challenging courses will help prepare you for college-level work, but college is also a balance between academic and non-academic engagement. It's important to know your limits and not overextend and burn out. Admission offices also place emphasis on grades. If a student has taken rigorous courses and has all A's or perfect grades, of course this is positive. But schools also look at grade trends. If a student has lower grades early in their high school career and then their grades gradually improve over time, this can be a great sign to show a school that you're willing to work hard and improve. Some universities will recalculate GPAs for their admission process, and those recalculated GPAs are often the ones that they will publish as their middle 50%. It's important to understand if this is a weighted or unweighted GPA, if this GPA includes non-academic courses, and if this is a 4.0 scale. If you're trying to compare your GPA to a school's admitted 50%, it's important you make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Admission offices also want to hear directly from you in the application process. While some schools may offer interviews, the best way to ensure your own voice is in your application is to take time on your writing samples. There are often multiple writing samples, and if one of the essays is labeled as optional, it's in your best interest to write this essay. Please do not confuse this with the additional information section of the application. This has an entirely separate purpose, and it's not the place to include an additional essay. My strongest piece of advice for students working on their essays is really to remember that admission officers are not grading your essays. We are not teachers. We do not sit with a red pen and hunt for comma splices and analyze your ability to, write the 5-paragraph essay. We have a highlighter, and we're trying to get to know you. I often really find that the best essays share something that I didn't already know about an applicant. This is really your opportunity to share something new with the admissions committee. I also often meet students who are struggling to find a topic for their essay. They don't know what to write about. Please do not forget that you are always the subject of your essay. We often spend a fair amount of time looking at an applicant's extracurricular activities. Most application platforms will have a designated section for a student's list of activities. Generally, anything that you consider outside of schoolwork, besides hanging out with friends and playing video games, counts as an activity. Academic clubs, volunteering, athletics, the arts, employment, or an internship, or even some significant home responsibilities are all appropriate to list. We also spend time looking at how long you've been active with something, and it can look a little odd if a student is all of a sudden extremely involved, starting their junior year of high school when 9th and 10th grade were pretty empty. Sometimes I think students feel pressure to make sure that they are a well-rounded applicant, meaning that they're involved in the arts, participate in the science fair, volunteer, tour, tutor, and are captain of the soccer team. If that's you, that's great. But sometimes we meet students who are not well-rounded at all, and they are what I like to call pointy students. Some students do one or two things, but at an extremely high level. It is no less impressive to an admission committee. We're focused on bringing in a well-rounded class. Each individual does not need to be well-rounded. Thank you for your attention, and I hope I've been able to break down a few concepts that may have seemed daunting about the holistic review process. If you have any questions about holistic review or other topics pertaining to Emory University, please reach out to us at admission@emory.edu. Thanks.